I mean, I call the piece The Rainforest, then it has a subtitle, A Landscape in the Shower. And it is, to me, it is a landscape. There are goldfish, there are transitory crickets, they come and go. There are tree frogs, grazed tree frogs. There are 2 birds, there are zebra finches. Let's see, there's a water turtle, it's called a pond turtle or musk turtle, and there's a Florida box turtle, and iguanas. I think that's everybody. Now the branches are all mesquite, and then the sapling trunks are mesquite. But the plants themselves and the ferns and such, they're all either silk or plastic. There's just not enough room to have soil in there. And if they were living trees, the animals would just tear them apart in no time at all, especially when there's iguanas. They'd eat it in days. And even the birds are very destructive. They're tough enough on this silk. The rocks are real, though. They're heavy. I had to test the rock formations that I tried out in there with the turtles to make sure they could climb up. So that little turtle staircase is actually designed for the turtles, and the shelf that sticks out so they can get out over the water, because he's not real good at walking down the staircase. And he needs a clear area where he's not going to hit a rock when he falls in the water, that one turtle. But as far as the systems, no, they're just all there. They're all, every system affects another. That was one of the problems with making it. Every time I wanted to do something, it would affect all the other systems, either how it fit or the electricity it was going to use, the wiring, or just the effect it was going to have. They're all tied together. There seems to be some kind of relationship with nature. I don't know. You know, everything's connected in that piece. The thing is, I really like seeing the mechanics, all the stuff that runs it. I like the interface between what is perceived to be natural and man-made, because truly there's no difference, you know, between the natural and man-made, because man-made is natural, because we're part of nature. We're not separate from nature, we're part of it, and it fascinates me. The morning starts out with sunrise, and the main lights that simulate the sun come on. The fans come on, so there's a little bit of breeze going on there. The animals wake up. Then in the afternoon, it goes through a rainstorm 5 days a week. 2 days it doesn't rain. They let it dry out. So it goes through a pretty good rainstorm. The lights dim, the rain starts up on the right side, and there's thunder and lightning, and the birds go hide up in the tree where they don't get wet. Sometimes the frogs will move around. Then that tapers off, the brighter lights come back on, and then it goes towards evening where the lights start dimming again, and it goes through a sunset. And then the blue light that simulates the moon comes on. Well, every day I check the bird feeder and clear out the chafe tubes and make sure they have seed. Birds can't go too long without food. Other than that, I feed the turtles about every 3 days, and the frogs, I give them crickets, hence the transitory crickets. Once a week, I'll give them anywhere from 50 to 100 crickets, depending on how many frogs I'm seeing. There should be 10 frogs in there, but one never knows. Usually I only see 3 or 4 at a time. It pretty much just runs itself. Occasionally I'll open it up from the front and clean the glass. The filters, I really hate maintenance, so I try to get the best filters possible. There are 2 filter pump systems. The one runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I have to service that filter, clean it about once every 3 months to 6 months, depending on what animals are in there. And then the main pump filter system, which is only on a couple hours a day, but it's running 3,500 gallons a, geez, I think it's a minute. It's outrageous. It's a swimming pool pump and filter. And that can often go for a year. So about once a week I put in 5 to 6 gallons. And I only do that once a week because I like the water level to fluctuate, to go down to a certain point. Now, there's a rock I watch in here, and when the rock's exposed, I know it's time to add water. When I lived in Pennsylvania, I used to have woodland. I had 5 acres of woods that had a half-acre pond and had a stream on it. I really loved the environment. And I would see deer there and birds and everything else. And my plan at the time was to build a studio on that property and just have this wonderful studio in the woods front by the pond and the stream. But when I went to California, I had to sell that property to survive, to live. And I really didn't feel I could follow my career as an artist in the woods in Pennsylvania. So what I've done is I've reversed it. Instead of having a studio in the woods with the pond and the stream, I have that in the studio. It's just kind of inside out. And it's on wheels, so I can take it with me. Then all the wires and cables and things all disconnect. And I mean it to travel. It's to travel in peace. So what we have here is an interface between the perceived natural environment and the man-made controls. Totally. Industrial. I love industrial stuff. I used to work in a factory. And I don't want to hide that. I don't want to pretend it's not there, it's not magic or anything. It's all there to see how it works. Although you may not understand how it works, sometimes I don't either. And I like the industrial aesthetic. I like everything in here works. As far as follows function, however, having been a painter, I'm interested in color. So these blue boxes match the blue filter over there because I had a choice. I had a choice of the filter, and I wanted to stay with the blue. And I've changed out valves because the valve stems were the wrong color. The wiring, I really got into the wiring. You know, it's like, this thing's like a body of work. This isn't one piece to me because everything in here had to be done particularly. There were a lot of things that I couldn't buy already made. I had to make them or modify something else to get what I wanted. Like these little things here, these are the main on-off switches. Well, that's all, you know, tricked out, custom, whatever you want to call it. I remember the day I got my wire. I wanted colored wires. Everything's color coded. And so I ordered a whole box, 23 different colors of wire. It was a big deal. It was like getting a box of paints for me. And then I had to make up all my cables out of the wires and wrap them. And that was just apparently the kind of sculpture I like to do now. I didn't know this when I started, but well, I didn't build this for the animals. The artwork is not for the animals. The animals are for the artwork. That's the way I look at it. That's what I've done here. But I still treat the animals really well as possible. Just because that's my outtake on it doesn't mean that they're suffering, because they're not. I mean, that is, besides the fact that it rains in here, it is extremely humid in here and they love it. That's the kind of environment they like, that they're not going to get in a terrarium, or terrariums, or a cage. They get it in here. So that works pretty good. But yeah, it wasn't, I tried different frogs in here to find the right species or subspecies that'll really work, that'll do what I want for the artwork. To be generally visible, at least a couple of them. And the other night I saw 6 of them, so I know there's at least 6. And they make a beautiful sound. They do a trill. I like that a lot. I've had other frogs in here that didn't make any sound, and you'd never see them except late at night. Well, that was no good for the artwork. It was good for the frogs, but not for the artwork, and I was going for the artwork. And the birds are a real pain. They're always ripping on the leaves and things, even though they're so small, and they make a mess. But the thing is, they fill this area here with movement. And the movement is a big part of the art. See, the birds are moving here, the fish are moving down there, the turtles generally in this area, the frogs go across, and the iguanas just go all over the place. And so these movements, I see them all aesthetically, these movements of life. And that's what I'm interested in. I wanted to see it three-dimensional, and I wanted to see it alive. You know, it's just really neat to live with. It's a nice piece to have. That's why I built it. I built it because I thought, God, I'd really like to see this. And the only way I was going to see it is if I built it.